Quite a number of you have been in touch after a comment I made about how good it would be to use this lockdown time to do some reading, some spiritual reading, and lots of you have been asking for my recommendations, and so I've come up with my top 5 recommended books to read during lockdown, and it'd be interesting to see whether these are similar ones to you or others, but here's my top 5. So the first one is this book. It's called How to Pray by Pete Greig, and it's an absolutely brilliant book. It's probably the book, I would say, if you only read one book in the next couple of weeks or month, make it this one. This is a time to pray as the church, for the world. And this book is so good at helping us think through how do we do that. It's really encouraging, it's really practical, it's easy to read. It's the kind of book you'll come back to over and over again. So top book, number 1, How to Pray, Pete Greig. Second thing I'd love you to read, if you haven't already, is this book by John Mark Comer. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. It's all about spiritual formation, learning to, what does he say? To stay emotionally healthy and spiritually alive in the chaos of the modern world. Even more chaotic all of a sudden, right? Very, very helpful book on slowing down, changing pace, finding a rhythm that's more sustainable so that we can practice the way of Jesus better. So, number 2, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. Now, here's number 3, it's this book. It's absolutely brilliant. It's called The Liturgy of the Ordinary, subtitled Sacred Practices in Everyday Life. And it's a great book, but particularly at the moment, I think you'd find it really helpful. Basically, Tish Harrison Warren, she's an Anglican priest in America. She talks about how the everyday ordinary moments in our life can be liturgical, can be sacramental, can be worship. So, for example, how when you're making food, that could be a time to pray. How when you're dealing with children, it's a time to engage with God, etc. So that is super, super helpful and a great way to make sense of lockdown routines and some of the mundaneness of it all. Perhaps turn it into prayer and worship. Number 4 is a book that I would totally recommend if you're interested in renewal, revival, any of the things that we're grappling with as a church when we think about what God might be doing in us and through us. And it's this book by Mark Sayers called Reappearing Church. It's absolutely extraordinary, very prophetic, subtitled The Hope for Renewal in the Rise of Our Post-Christian Culture. It's so good. Every church leader I know is reading it. It's really, really informative, really, really formative. It's massively influencing my thinking. So that's number 4, Reappearing Church, Mark Sayers. And finally, if you want to get yourself into some theology around the resurrection, the future, this book by N.T. Wright. This is an old version of it, so the cover's probably different, but it's called Surprised by Hope, subtitled Rethinking Heaven, the Resurrection and the Mission of the Church. So good, thinking about what lies ahead for us as the people of God. And really important, I think, that we have good theology about the future in these times as we help people navigate a new world. So number 5, the Surprised by Hope, N.T. Wright. Those are all available on online book retailers. Let me know if you read any of them and they're helpful. Take care.